Hi, this is David Rodriguez. You're watching DualShockers TV on DualShockers.com. We are about near the end of day 0 of E3. We've been at 2 conferences today, one for EA and one for Microsoft. And with Microsoft specifically, there was a lot of expectations going in. And they started things off, like right off the bat, with Metal Gear Solid 5. Pete, I know you're a big fan. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I'm still trying to take a liking to Kiefer Sutherland replacing David Hayter, but I mean, the game looks amazing. I mean, they finally confirmed, which we kind of already knew, is that Ocelot is in the game, which they've never really mentioned until now. So, I mean, Kojima came out briefly just to, like, kick off the show with the CEO of Microsoft, which was, pretty shocking. I wasn't really expecting to see him come out, being that, Kojima tends to gravitate more towards the PlayStation platform. But the game looks fantastic. I mean, I can't wait for it.
Yeah, no, his voice isn't that prominent in the trailer, but when I saw it, and I heard it actually, I was expecting Jack Bauer from 24. I was expecting that, like Jack Bauer playing Snake. But he kind of did his own thing, like with the voice. It's not like blatantly Sutherland. You can tell it's him, but it sounds like Snake. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I thought it worked well, honestly. He actually does a pretty good rendition of what David Hayter does, so I'm pretty comfortable with that as a replacement.
Yeah, I mean, just the graphics. I mean, the first thing we see, like Microsoft just threw in their, like, we have games. They gave us Metal Gear Solid 5, showed off all these beautiful graphics, all the gameplay, all these things you could do. I mean, they sent a message straight up, like, this is what the platform is trying to be. If you like this stuff, stay for the conference, see more. We're going to rock your world, bam, So I think Metal Gear Solid 5 was a good way to start the show.
Yeah, and speaking of games, that's all we saw today. There was a little bit of smart glass.
No. Rise actually has my interest.
Well, no, I was getting to that. It was like 90% games. Yeah. There was so much of smart glass, the price, the release window. But I guess, we'll talk about like one game we saw that really piqued our interest. You kind of beat me to it. But mine was definitely Rise. It seemed like, and Masood and I talked about this, where it seemed a little thin in terms of the gameplay, a lot of quick time events. But for me personally, it's the experience. They got all this stuff that's flying around you, explosions, horses getting snapped in half, God knows what. That's one game I definitely look forward to checking out.
Yep, agreed. Basically, you're controlling an army, and you feel like you're actually a commander in the middle of a bunch of chaos. So, great.
I was definitely quoting like Ridley Scott's Gladiator inside my head.
Oh, for Rise?
Just
your pick of all the games we saw, which is a lot of games. So, what was the one that really stuck out for you?
Honestly, I thought that pretty much I was very impressed with the new Need for Speed that EA showed earlier. I think it's called Need for Speed Rivals. I mean, EA actually put on a really, really good show. I mean, they really came through with that diaper money, today. Because, I mean, the amount of, lights going on and the monitors, it was just fantastic. And they even had, Battlefield 4, which they actually demoed an actual online match involving, 64 players?
64 players, yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like that at E3 done before. So, I mean, Battlefield stuck out.
Was there anything that Microsoft showed that you liked?
Oh, no, honestly, I just still have all these questions about with, the Xbox One. They completely ignored the whole used game issue. And, that wasn't even, touched on at all. So I'm just still kind of curious, if they could just, delve a bit more into that.
Personally, not that convinced yet when it comes to the Xbox One, even with the games they showed.
I mean, at the end of the day, I really can't predict, what's going to happen. I mean, I was not really too into the PS3 in this past gen, but back when, it first was announced and everything, and when it launched, I just wasn't really interested. And then somehow I ended up spending more time on that system than any other platform. So, I mean, I just have to, see where the cards fall.
And Masood, I mean, in terms of Microsoft specifically, is there any game you saw that stood out for you?
Yeah. I mean, just when I saw, was it Project Spark? I know it was going to be the wrong thing to say, but I was actually impressed by the Kinect and Smart Glass features for that. You finally got a game, in my opinion, that uses those integrated features that they keep throwing down your throat in a good way. I mean, you got Project Spark. You could change your terrain on the Smart Glass as you did it. You could speak to it as you played, and it just seemed like it picked up everything well. Like even the guy just speaking normal with it, he just said, "Oh, perfect." It recognized it. You didn't have to say particular words. It seemed like he actually could speak to it like a normal person, and it wasn't that hard. On the hardcore side, I felt Titanfall. I actually liked it. I know, from what I see, some people are still a little mixed on it, but I actually like the mix of action and mech. I like that they're making a fast mech that's like, even though it's gigantic, it's moving like just as fast as you are as a normal person. And I like the attention to the environment. Like you look at the environment and it looks like a city. It looks like, you are fighting in a slightly futuristic town in like New York or wherever. And I just like the amount of action, like just running through the environment. There's a lot of agility with the rocket launcher pack, like you're jumping on top of the Titans' backs and, ripping out the thing and shooting in. It feels like a more like raw, visceral experience. It like more, energetic, like, rawr, like I think it's going to be great if they keep that going. It's definitely going to appeal to that FPS crowd that like, nonstop action and just jumping in and killing people and jumping out. I think that's going to be like their next, Xbox game, their big Xbox thing.
It definitely felt like I was watching James Cameron. Yeah. Especially the mechs moved like they were in the movie Avatar. Yeah. Definitely reminded me of that. Okay, so Microsoft showed a lot of games, $500. I'm kind of getting the impression that we're not all that convinced yet. It's going to take a little more for us to get convinced. So the other press conference we went to today was the Download, and that was hosted by Electronic Arts. And very similar to, it was just a publisher, so it's nothing but games. Personally, okay, for me, if you listen to the Shockcast, and if you just read anything on the site, Mirror's Edge 2 is a game that I'm looking forward to since the first one was released. That was in 2008. And it's taken 5 years, but we know that there's a sequel coming eventually, because it said when it's ready. So I'm thinking probably 2015. I'm happy just knowing that the game exists.
Dave, don't hold it in. You guys, when they played Mirror's Edge 2, Dave he just lit up like a kid on Christmas, and just when it came out, we were just like, it's about time, and we just went crazy with it. Just let it out, Dave.
We were the faith section. Yeah, there's not much to say. They didn't show much. Like what they showed was very reminiscent of the first game, which is actually good. And I'll be writing a piece for the site. A lot of the aesthetics, the thematic elements, the hand-to-hand combat, it all seems to be there in the trailer. Hopefully, that'll makes it into the final game.
You know what the other big cheer was about? It's about the Star Wars game.
Yeah, the 2-second trailer teaser that we saw for Star Wars Battlefront. But again, that's one of those games that people have been waiting for years. They've been screaming for Battlefront 3. Speaking of Battlefield, though. Dave, you're a huge Battlefield fan.
I am.
And I remember you were telling me personally you were desperately wanted to see some multiplayer.
Yeah.
And we finally saw that today. So what'd you think?
Yeah, so far we hadn't really seen that. We'd seen single player, a bunch of scripted sequences. This multiplayer looked like it was just as seamless as Battlefield 3. It had all the things about Battlefield 3 that I like, but it added a bunch of new things like in Shanghai looked beautiful. Looked big. Elevator up to the top of a skyscraper. Destroy tanks like through missile command, and then jump off and parachute down into the middle of the city.
And then knocking down the skyscraper.
Yeah, and then the skyscraper falls down. Amazing. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Pete, was there anything with EA that kind of caught your attention?
Well, aside from the new Need for Speed, I thought that the new Plants vs. Zombies 2, the Garden Warfare, I thought that looked like, actually looked like it could be a lot of fun. And I was a fan of the original Plants vs. Zombies, so, it definitely looked like a next-gen title. It still has like that cartoonish art style about it, but it looked like a lot of fun. It looked like they had a bunch of different types. It kind of reminded me of Team Fortress in a way, with the different class types and everything. But Garden Warfare looks like it actually be a lot of fun.
A lot of just silly, ridiculous fun. And Sood, I know you were kind of with me when it came to Mirror's Edge 2, but I just want to know if there's anything else you saw that kind of caught your attention.
Yeah, but besides Plants vs. Zombies, which actually did surprise me, I never really played the handheld mobile ones. To see it in 3D was awesome. I thought they did a damn good job of transferring it into a new type of genre, I guess. But beyond that, I mean, just seeing the Battlefield, the gameplay we saw at Microsoft and just, what we saw at EA, I thought it was amazing that you, maybe more so than before, like, are using your Battlefield as, part of your weapon. I mean, there was an earlier shot where we're seeing one of, the soldier plane shoot whatever's holding up one of the jets, and it just came down and wiped out the people he's fighting, and then he jumped down into a trench that had ripped open in the carrier, took out some of the guards that were hiding there, the enemies that were hiding there, and just came back up. I thought that was amazing, and I think, but overall, EA, I think, really did a good job of just getting you excited. They threw in a lot of different things. The trailers were all amazing. I think I'm pretty well stoked for all of the EA titles, just about,
Yes, the one DualShocker staff member that's behind the camera right now was very excited for Dragon Age 3. We're just going to shout that out, because I don't think any of us here has really played it, but she was very excited. So I'll just shout that pick out for her. So there you go. I don't know if you heard that. So we're here. Sony is going to be held in the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena right behind me. Pete cannot wait to get in there. We're going to be hitting Sony up. Sony will be unveiling a black box today that no one has seen before, and I hope so. I want continuity when it comes to my Sony console, even though the first one was great, but we're not going to talk about it. And hopefully we'll see a price, some new games, and hopefully some surprises. So stay tuned to DualShockers TV. We'll be getting some more content up as the show continues. Take care.